So, uh, I had to resolve some weird time loop in my head, so I had to fix some stuff here. So for you, 30 seconds have passed, and for me it was like 10 minutes. So let's uh, let's see if this works again now. Um, no? Yes, maybe. This should look good. And this stream is dropping again, funnily enough. Yes? Give me a second. Experiencing slight technical difficulties. Twitch isn't made for unstable network, I guess. Okay, so where were we? We were saying we have this loop where we write the outputs, and basically what I'm gonna do now, and I'm gonna ignore the map files from now on. They're just nice to have, but not reading. So what I want to do, I loop over the atlas files and read them in. So basically we have the same here. We have the 0 here, and then we say, how do we do this? The do while in Rust? No. So basically what we want to do is, I mean, this is the atlas name, right? So let's say, let's cheat a bit today. So this is the in name, and basically this is input numbered. Let's just do it for one. So the atlas name is the in name, right? And then we say if something. So how do we do? Oh, we just do a while true. If there's no do while, and then we break out of it. So we just say while true. And now we need to check if this actually exists. So if this does not exist, then we're gonna do a break and go out, and otherwise we just continue. So what do we want to check? We had this, so we can do a pass new on the atlas name. Remember, it needs to be a pass, and then we just do exists. So basically, if this does not exist, then break. And probably just for debugging, just for now, not found, stopping. And this is the atlas name, right? So in theory, and it's funny how the stream drops. Oh yes, borrowing is important if you don't want to own it. Yeah, and what did we forget? Obviously. If you have an endless loop, better make sure your end condition triggers at some point. Oh man, I need coffee. Talking about coffee. So it's finding 27 atlas files. And if I look into the data directory and say test atlas, this looks about right. The sorting is broken, but yeah, 27 is right. So it's finding all of them. Now all we have to do is do something with them. And basically what I want to do is, now it gets a bit, basically I want to load it, don't just want to dump it, I want to load it into an atlas. So So remember here we create a new atlas with size and border, and that's probably not what we want. So I'm gonna do basically we will want to do an atlas from file, right? From dot atlas. So if I go into atlas new, and this comment probably was supposed to be somewhere down here and just got lost on the way. So what I want to do is new from atlas. Sorry about that. Itchy ears. New from atlas. And right now we only want to dump the output, so we only want to have the atlas file. So we pass in the atlas name as a string reference, and we return. I'm on the edge of this. Will it always return an atlas, or so it will? Let's say for now it always returns an atlas. All right, so we create a new atlas, and this time it's mutable. The size is 0 because we don't know it. The border is 0 because we don't know it, and actually we never implemented that. The entries, yeah, we could have just copied that, but sometimes it's better to type it out to think about it. Then the image obviously is none. We don't have any rows yet, so it's also a vector. Excuse me. Vector new. And okay. I'm keeping an eye on the stream to see if this is actually working, and used height is 0. And then sometime later, I mean, load data, load info, and then at the end we just return it, right? So I like this process of stubbing it out minimally, and then you don't have to jump back and forth between two places constantly. And then what we do here is we say let a equals, and it's just temporary, so new from atlas, and we just pass in the atlas name here. And then we just lazy, we just print it out. I don't know what key I intended to press there. It's the save Twitch, I guess. So yeah, and I forgot to. I will get used to borrowing when I need to. I promise. And I will fix all these errors. So basically, okay, we have 27 atlases that don't have info. I mean, obviously that's a lie, and we need to work on the formatting, but right now we want to work on the loading. And so remember we have this save atlas here. Basically, okay, this reference code here we said we want to remove, and we're going to put a to do here that says support compression, which doesn't really matter right now. But then I want to have a function that says load atlas, right? And that is, we have a mutable self because we want to change stuff. We have the file name, and we have the string. And then we have a result. Let's just say this turns the U32 for, I don't know, whatever. Could just be an OK. And let's just return OK0 here. Again, error handling. I just hand wave away, and error handling we'll get into much later. So if we do this here, basically we say a.load atlas. So we reuse the loading and saving code and don't have that in the, and we just ignore the results here. So what does load atlas do? I mean, obviously we have to open the file, and this file this time is not mutable, and it's probably not a file create, it's a file open, I'm guessing. Let's just test this real quick, and we're not going to do this in 45 minutes. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's time for breakfast, I guess. I'm not sure what I did here. I mean, that's just plain daft. Okay, so far so good. It seems to be able to open the files, which is good. And now we want to read this, and now I'm going to split the view again, because I'm pretty sure we already did that in the packer. I'm just not sure in which version. So we have a load here. Basically, we're doing the buffered reader. Yeah, that's fine. That's cool. Let mutable buff reader buffered reader new on F, and we do know the magic. I mean, let magic equal it's basically this here. So it's OX for F forces to be U8, I remember, and then OX 5.3, and actually we patch in the version as well. And then I'm basically gonna steal this. We're gonna steal this and basically no, we're just gonna steal the magic here without version, and then we say okay, yeah, this is fine as well. We do 16 and we expect version 1. So let's try what happens. Oh, obviously we changed our error handling paradigm, so this is error, and I have no clue. We had generic, so let's just use the generic one. And this needs a toString. And I killed the brace here, and then same here. So, but we want this string. Can you actually hear the noise from outside? I have to check the stream later. And obviously the buffered reader, I mean, we know how that works, right? So we have standard IO at the top here. We have write. We need buff reader, I guess. Let's put that. Let's keep this alphabetic, and we need the buff read. I mean, we know that, right? There should be a auto fixer, but then probably we need a read too. Yeah. Let's just load them all in. Where does a read U8 come from? Okay, that probably comes from byte order. We have the read bytes extension. Remember we used that before. No news here. And we obviously need byte order annotations. Yeah, thank you. I mean, when writing, we add the byte order, so probably when reading, we should be specific too. And yes, we are mixing two different tools here, and I don't like that, but let's clean this up later. There will be a long cleanup session, but I want to have a super stable stream on what the maybe don't use the release version for now. All good. So if you put a 2 here just for testing, we know that's the wrong version, but maybe this load atlas throws an error. Maybe we should not throw that error away. Maybe it's telling us some stuff. So we're gonna match on that and say if it's an error, we just gonna print that out. This is probably not gonna work, and everything else we just ignore. Yes, this is not going to work. So it says broken magic. And it is right. It is absolutely right. Because the magic is 534F. Remember, we wrote the magic. Here, this loading, we wrote the magic as little endian, and probably we should read it as little endian as well. And I kind of want to keep it. So we say this is the magic we read now, and say if magic not equals, and then we use the value we've written here, and this magic handling, then we do this here. And this is, I need to get rid of that keyboard macro. It's not working as I had planned. The idea was if I just hold shift and do nothing, if I just tap shift, it creates a brace, but same for right side, but this wasn't a good idea. So this is broken file magic, and this here is broken chunk magic, and we'll get there in a minute or two. Now let's just comment this out for the moment. All right. Yep, he is right. And sorry for the speed, but today was gonna be a fast session, and I don't want to stop talking. And I could speed up even more. By the way, is the mic on and the stream on? Yeah, this all seems to be okay-ish. So it says broken file magic. Why does it say broken file magic? God magic. Am I missing something here? Did we open the wrong file by accident? God magic 0. Oops, wrong window. So this is going into the unwrap, I guess. So why is this going into the unwrap? What are we doing wrong? So we got a file, so the file open worked, right? The file open worked. I mean, this is just the basic same load. I mean, this is just can we do this? I'm not sure how good the debug inside a file in Rust is. We cannot. But maybe the buff reader is smart enough. Shouldn't have opened the hatch. It's getting cold in here. Read true, write false. So why is it not? So this is a write file. It's at the beginning of the stream, so why is it not reading from the buffer? So why is this failing? I mean, we can always match it and see what it is telling us. So I have no idea what this is returning, so let's just print it out and hand out a 0, right? I absolutely want braces here, sorry. My bad. Too many, every language should use semicolons everywhere, then we wouldn't have to switch between. Unexpected end of file. But we're trying to read so we're using the byte autocrate. So let's just crates.io byte order. and go to the documentation. We're doing a read U16, right? So we're doing exactly this. Oh, we're talking about this one, not this one, but what's the difference between a cursor and a buffered reader? Oh, a cursor is over a Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, we could have probably okay, but why is this saying we cannot read one U16? I mean, we're at position 0 from 8192. The buff reader is mutable. And it's basically exactly what we do here, right? We open the file. File reading is okay, otherwise we would hit the IO error here. We create a mutable buff reader and then we just say, hey, read. And this file actually does exist. I mean, oh, this file has a size of 0. What? Whoa, 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 whoa. Well, I mean, interesting side case, but let's clean this up and run the combine again. So if I do this now, then this now looks better. And okay, we were working with broken data, hunting ghosts, so this just, I mean, okay, so this, what does it return? It's the read byte extension probably, and that has a read U. Let's read the documentation that returns a result. Ooh. So this is probably okay. Just return the M. In any other case, we just go full on return IO error, reading from buffer, right? And there go my 45 minutes are over. At least some coffee, but now we're hitting the wrong version that we intentionally put there. So if we put the right version, then this all should go fine. I'm not sure why the stream is super stable during testing and never stable during actual streaming. I'm not sure if Twitch does something weird there. And I am sorry about that, but okay. So now we want to read the real magic, and that's basically this here, right? And we put the magic in here and make sure this is a UA just to, and this is the chunk magic. Remember we have a chunked format, so let's just say we read the chunk header And yeah, this is working as well. I mean, we could just put a, I don't know, 5 here for testing and it will break. Broken chunk magic. And yes, the data format should be defined in one place. Right now we define it in 2 places, but we just want to learn how we could do it manually before we use magic. Yeah, magic to load the magic, and then basically, yeah, we read the, remember, we read the compression flags, and this needs to be S. So don't ask to do compression not implemented. Yeah, we changed the error handling. I know. We should change this one here as well at some point. Nope, it's here. And this is why I like the extra spaces inside the braces, because it improves readability so much. So, but this should not trigger because it is an S. Yep. So we almost threw the header. We were already here, so I'm not sure if we want to just, technically this writer here is not correct. Technically this here is not correct, but I'm not gonna this is basically the chunk version. And I'm just gonna copy this just to be safe so there are no typos. I'm not sure if this would need a U8, but we do this again. Probably with a chunk version. And just go through that. And it's still okay. So now we're actually getting to the meat of it, because now we're writing the reading the entries. So let entry count, number of entries, whatever, be buff reader read U8. Don't need this, and say just unwrap or 0. I mean, 0 means don't load anything, and got entries, entry count. So this should be probably 8. Got 8 entries. So if we look at the data, the PNG again, this has 8 entries, and if we look at the map file, which we still write for historic and debug reasons, this also has 8 entries, so this sounds reasonable. So now we have to load all these 8 entries, and actually this probably should have been each entry writing itself, but since we have it in the safe here, we're going to put it in the load at the same place. So for I in, let's say, entry index in 0 to entry count, do something. And this is basically loading 128 bytes into a buffer. And so we load, can we load more than one. I don't want to read them one by one. Do we? So how? I mean, we could do the, sorry, where is it? This just reads to end, but read to end is kind of, it's a bit too much, right? This is a bit too much. Let's go back here. So this can read from a cursor, from a read type, and a read type can read exact. Oh, this is nice. So we create a 128 buffer and then just say that this is nice. So we say let name buffer equal U8. Is it semicolon 128? Is this the syntax? I never remember the array syntax in Rust. Not a value. So Rust new array, new empty. Oh, that was the VEC syntax, right? So we have to put it here and then just say, yeah, we can just say 0, 0 U8, just initialize it and say we want 128, right? Yeah, nice enough. And then we go to the read exact, and then we just give it the buffer. So we just say buff reader, which implements a read trait, read exact, and then we just give it the mutable reference to our buffer, mutable reference to our name buffer, and we just unwrap that, right? Probably could get away without the unwrapping here. We cannot borrow this as mutable, which is right, because we forgot to make it mutable. Okay, now we need a string from, probably from UTF-8. Standard string from UTF-8. This sounds good. This sounds exactly what we need here. So this was a name buffer, and now we say let name equals string from, yeah, Sparkle Heart, my unwrap this, and then we just print this out, and let's see what happens. Okay, you are right. And I'm wondering if it needs a 0 termination. Not sure if that in Rust yet. So the thing is, we write a fixed size string and say everything that's 0 doesn't matter because we come from C. And then we panic. Unwrap on an arrow value. valid up to 2, arrow length sum once. From UTF-8 error. So it does say, hey, pal, you're doing something stupid here. And let's, I want to see the name buffer here. And this is format juggling between C++ and Rust right now. Can I just please debug these? Oh, it can't. Okay. It could if it was only 32. So if we cheated here. Oh, let's break here. Maybe this already is working and we're just in the second iteration where it fails. Okay. So it was the second iteration where it was actually loading the matrix as the string. Remember, we write 8 F32 here. 6. Sorry, 6. So not sure. Oh, we could just say, okay, we have a let mut matrix buffer equals 0 is F32. Can we do this? And then we say for M in matrix buffer, we do M equals F read F32 little endian dot unwrap or just 0, 0. So we just read the matrix here and then we just print the matrix as well. I actually want to borrow this mutable. Is this the syntax for it? What? I mean, obviously we want to read from the buff reader here. Oh, yes. And then the compiler is telling us what to do. Why don't you just do it? And I'm not sure why I put M here if it's obviously matrix buffer. Probably time to get some breakfast, get some energy into my head. I at least want to get round one. And this doesn't look too bad. So now, talking about this one here. This doesn't look too bad. So this break probably now is okay because that's all the data that's in the loop. But now it should be aligned with the next string. Let's see. Yeah, I mean the name is still broken. There's too many zeros at the end, so we should stop parsing at 0. But this is actually fish, 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 fish with different positions. Coin, 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 and yeah, we at least parsed it. We haven't applied it yet, but and I'm gonna write a big quick to do into the code here that says, where is it? to do cut at first 0. And probably there's a string replace all. Shrink to, no, truncate. Shortens the string to the specified length, so we can do a, let's make this mutable, and just for the sake of it, say name.truncate, and we just want 5 characters for the moment. This is wrong, but I just want to see. Yeah. And we actually want to, is there a find? There's a find, so yeah, this is actually exactly what we want to do. So let's do this for the moment, because I want to copy this Unicode 0. So what we want to do is truncate name dot truncate at first 0, and then say let first 0, just be explicit, is name dot find, and then this here, and then we say unwrap or length, unwrap or name dot length. Right? I mean, if there's no 0, then just truncate it to the full thing. And this is looking good. So fish swim, and so almost there. So what? Now we have it in local variables. But what we actually want is we want an entry, right? And an entry is the interesting thing is, which is funny, but it's true. The atlas does not know the size of the image, and that is intentional. Because you might want to rescale it later for another platform. We want to have half-size textures, and then which leads it to a bit of trouble, because for creating the entry, we would have to know the size, right? Because the size is basically the percentage multiplied by the. So what we actually do is when we do the load atlas here, we need the size. There's no way around it. So right now I'm just gonna cheat. We are gonna cheat and gonna say, okay, this is how do we do this? This is basically a.size. And right now, no, we're gonna pass this in. You're from Atlas, and you will see in a minute. You will see in a minute. And then you from Atlas, and here as a hack, we just hard code in the size. And this is probably wrong, but for the moment I don't care, because what we will do here is, I mean, here we load the atlas file, and what we will do here is I equals so here we will load the image to get the size, and then here we're gonna add image to atlas. Roughly round about that, but today I don't want to get into image loading, so we ignore that for the moment. And yes, maybe the atlas should simply have contained a reference size. And I don't care right now. And maybe this should have been just the matrix, but mostly we can use the new because we know the width and the height, and then we just set the position. So shall we do this? So right, is this allowed? Yeah, this is allowed. We say let entry equals, actually, do we have an add entry? Add row blit. Funny thing is we don't have row information or anything like that anymore, so we have to kind of just directly push to the entries, which is fine. I mean, there we see we need to separate some data. Some data is the result, and some data is the working set for the rows. And now we're getting into the discussion of what is what. So we say entry new, and that gets file name, which is not entirely correct, but this is the name. And then it gets a width and a height. Let's just call it W and H. Everybody knows what's that. So let W is actually the scaling, which is the matrix buffer top left, so 0 multiplied by size. And this probably needs a SF32, and then this needs a trunk. Truncate, I'm not sure. Oh, this page is too long. So is there a round? So F32 has a round. So F32 has a trunk. So we can just say dot trunk, right? Yeah. We say dot trunk and then say as U32, right? And then the height is the same, but it's the second parameter on the second row. So it's basically 3 plus 1. So this is 0 plus 1. So technically this is 0 times 3 plus 0. And this is 1 times 3 plus 0 plus 1. Just if you want to know where in the, yes, and we need to borrow this. And obviously we're not going to see it because when we're done with this, we need to say self.entries push. And this transfers the ownership into the array. And now we have the nicely badly printed. So the size is obviously fake, but the entries are all there. I'm not sure Oh, I am sure. So these sizes are wrong, but if we go into the combine, obviously, it was a 512 texture and not a 2048 texture. So if we do this and then do this, the sizes are more reasonable. So we load the info. We need to load .png for Atlas info. No way around that, and we want to make the dumping here tiny bit, at least a tiny bit nicer. So this is good enough for me right now. The we need to fix the position. The position obviously is wrong. So the position is the first row, the third parameter. So parameter 2, and this is the y, and obviously also the 2. And then we say e dot set position x and y. And who handles what here is a bit on the dodgy side, but I just hand wave that away. And did I mention that I'm hungry? So now we say, okay, the entries don't have why? Oh, our entry dumper, our entry formatter doesn't know about the x and y. So let's fix this, shall we? That was hackety hack. So this is now, okay, let's output the map file to compare. So fish swim 0 should be from 00 to 128. So fish swim 0, 00 to 128. Coin 2 is from 30 to 128. So coin 2 is from 32, 128 to, and this is now 2 plus 32 because we have width and height here, not ends. So the data seems to be correct, which is nice. All I want to do is now to do, we have the info here and we just print it. And yes, no. So we're gonna do print atlas. We're gonna do a new line, and no, actually we're gonna be very super verbatim here. Let's put a tab stop here. We have the size, right? We have the border. What else do we have? We have the size, we have the border, and then we have the entries, right? Yeah. And to be formatted. And then we have for e in a dot entries. And we're gonna borrow this from the start. And then we say print line. And yeah, too much printing. 2 tabs here. And then we just say e.name, and let's see if this starts to look better. Yes, file name. And file name is not technically correct there, but yeah, this looks much better. And let's just This is X and Y. This shift thingy. And then we do the same for width and height. And then we will say 45 minutes might. I'm not sure about the formatting here. So I'm leaning towards saying, okay, we prefix with this, then we use this. Now we say this, add position. So this is basically this. This at this. Otherwise we get too much noise. And then I have no clue how to print line, how to format padded. Use the format syntax. Okay, examples. See standard format. So I want this. Okay, so this is the syntax. So I don't want leading zeros, but 4 digits, let's say 5 digits. So colon space 5. Will this work? Or can it only zero pad? So let's say for the moment, colon 05, and this is also, I mean, this should fit it 4K texture nicely. I would prefer space padding. I would really prefer space padding. Oh, so we have a colon larger. Is that the syntax we're looking for? So this is right pad, right? This looks better. And then we do the same here, and we're not getting into sub padding and spacing, and this is good enough for me for today. So I want to, hey, we're gonna add an extra space here and 2 extra spaces here. Probably should be a tab stop, but I think this is readable. I mean, this is width, height, add position, and probably I want the visual some more, I don't know. It's arbitrary right now how we make this look nice. We can work on that later, but and obviously the not implemented is not true anymore. I want to return okay the number of things we loaded, right? And if we let this loose on Fiish now, I mean, OMT atlas, okay, atlas info input is data, and then we say, I think this the game atlas, and maybe we should allow explicit instead of just this, but for now we just go with this, and it says, hey, obviously the size is wrong. Well, the size is right in this case, but this helps with debugging. And let's see, I think seaweed, atlas, we have multiple. So, well, let's see if this works for multiple. So it's dumping the first one. So it's dumping the first one with 90 entries. It's dumping the second one with 169 entries, and it's dumping the third one with 85 entries. And looking at this, I want a preview tool. Something that opens the image, shows it to me, and draws boxes where what is and prints the name in it. But that's not for today. So I think this stream is kind of okay. Uh, add preview tool for tool, add preview to atlas tool. Loading the atlas and dumping the info is kind of, if we ignore this here, is partially done. So I'm gonna say this is good enough for today and more than we aimed for. So made a lot of chaos, improved the tools a little bit more. So let's stage the atlas tool here. Okay, we added the subcommand, and then we say edit info command to atlas tool. And we're slowly getting better with the wording. So command is the command for the tool, and the tool is the tool itself. So I hope you get some inspiration today. I'm gonna go offline. I'm still not happy with the stream quality, but it's probably the best we can do for now. And I'm gonna keep looking into this. So see you next time. Bye bye.